what are the themes that you hear today? Do you actively coach and mentor right now, or
Yes, I do actively coach and mentor right now. And the main theme that I get from people is what is the future of MLE jobs? Will MLE jobs exist? Like if AI is going to take over software jobs, I think they will also take over the MLE jobs. So that is the biggest theme that I hear, that will they spend like next 6 months in preparing for MLE, like machine learning and learning all that, and then their jobs will not even be there. So that is the biggest thing.
that's the theme of our podcast too, Umang. So you kind of got that.
And what I tell them is,
On the podcast today, we have Umang Chaudhary. He is a machine learning engineer at TikTok and was previously a machine learning engineer and software engineer at Amazon. In this episode, we talked about the evolving role of AI and LLM in daily ML workflows, his entrepreneurial vision to build a community around ML career guidance, why patience is your most valuable asset in the current ML job market, a 4-step plan to break down and master ML interview preparation. Be sure to subscribe to Data Neighbor in your favorite podcast app and YouTube. Let's dive into our conversation with Umang Chaudhary. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Data Neighbor podcast with Hai, Shravya, and Sean. Today we have Umang Chaudhary here talking to us. Welcome, Umang.
hi guys, nice to meet you all.
Hi, Umang. Welcome. So excited to chat about. I think this flavor it's been some time, so I'm glad that we are going to talk about machine learning and the details of how people land there and all those intricate stuff. Yeah.
Definitely, I'm super excited to share like all my learnings and also learn a bit more about you guys. And yeah, super excited.
Awesome. We're looking forward to digging into your story and maybe getting as much information about you as possible. Cool. So why don't we start with, so you're a machine learning engineer at TikTok right now, but you
Correct.
were not always a machine learning engineer. So what was your story?
For sure. So my story starts during my undergrad. So around third year or fourth year of my undergrad, which is the time of like 2018, 2019, I saw like some Coursera videos of Jeff Hinton, of Andrew Ng, and introduction to neural networks and all that stuff. And I was like, damn, this is so interesting. Like you can mimic your human brain and you can make these like neural networks and you can do all this. I want to learn about it. So then I took like 1 to 2 like very introductory courses during my undergrad. Luckily, like my university had that back in India. And then I got to know about, I built like some projects during those courses. And then I got to know about one of my peers who had gone to NTU Singapore, Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, as a research assistant for 6 months. And then I was like, oh, this is also a great opportunity. Maybe I should also try. My GPA is good. And there's this NTU India Connect fellowship that I should also apply for. I have some ML projects. I have like good grades. I have a good profile. I can target that. So then I got that. I was invited to Singapore. I spent my 6 months there, worked with a professor in the space of reinforcement learning and blockchain. Initially, I had applied for an NLP-based project, but then that project got changed last moment. So I had to work on a new kind of ML project. Spent my 5 to 6 months there. And after that, so that was my final year thesis. And after that, I came to US directly for my master's. And I took a bunch of ML courses. The main thing once you come to the US is you have to find internships. So I applied everywhere, eventually got into Amazon. And in Amazon, the weird thing is like they don't map you to a specific like ML team. They will assign you to a random team. And in my case, it was maybe based on my some other experiences, which were like predominantly web development based. They assigned me a web dev team, which was in the retail space and checkout in Amazon. So I had to do so much of like legacy code work and like do my entire internship in Java, JSP, which I had
Exactly same as what you dreamed of, right? Exactly same.
exactly same as what I had dreamed of. Exactly. So then I was like, I need to get a full-time offer. And if I don't get the full-time offer, then there is like, I cannot like get any opportunity within Amazon. So I worked my ass off. Like you can bleep this. I worked a lot during that 4 years of my internship. and then eventually like got a full-time offer from Amazon. But the thing is like if you get a full-time offer, you have to join that same team. So
Uh-huh.
even during the
Huh.
time when I was signing my full-time offer at Amazon, my mind was I want to leave that team once I join. Even though even though I signed that offer, I joined Amazon next year full-time. And I knew that within few months I need to switch to an ML team. The best part about Amazon was that there's a lot of teams. It's like an internal job marketplace. Like it's an internal LinkedIn there. You have hundreds of teams and like hundreds of teams that are hiring. And
But
then
wouldn't there be like generally I've seen few companies have like a lock-in time. You have to be in a team for a year or 2 years before you move and stuff like that, right?
yes. So in Amazon, the best part is like there is no lock-in period.
Hmm.
In Meta there is, and TikTok there is like
I know
around
in
1 year.
Microsoft there was when I was at Microsoft when we wanted to move there was
Yeah.
like you have to be in a team for a certain time. I didn't know Amazon didn't have that. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. So Amazon did not have that luckily. So I gave bunch of like, so this was my first time also giving interviews for ML. Like I had never given interviews for MLE position in the full-time space. So I gave interviews internally, which were like very similar to how it is like externally, but probably the bar is slightly lower. I gave interviews at 6, 7 teams, got offers from 3, 4 teams, chose the team which I really liked, and I liked the people there and liked the work there. So then I moved from my checkout team in retail to Prime Video in the forecasting space and moved to
Nice.
Austin. So that was my like turning point where I was able to transition from software to ML early on in my career. Like within,
Yeah.
I would say 3 months of becoming a software engineer at Amazon, I was able to transition into ML.
Hey, a little follow up there before we proceed. How weird was that conversation when you were like, "Hey, see you guys. I've been here 3 months." You know, like,
Have you
here
told your
Yeah.
manager
this
that
transition.
you're interviewing? That's a good question. Do you tell your manager that you're interviewing outside or no?
No, so when you transition like internally, how it works is, especially in Amazon and like other like similar companies also, it's more like an informal reach out to a hiring manager.
Okay.
Like you will reach out, let's say like on Slack, I will DM 5, 6 different managers. Hey, I'm interested in this position that I see on the job portal. I would love to learn more about it. So then you
Mhm.
jump on a call with them if they are interested in your profile, and then you have that hiring manager chat initially, and then they arrange informal interviews, 3 to 4 rounds with engineers and ML engineers or applied scientists of their team. And based on that performance, they will have like their internal, like as they have for an external person, they will have their like internal debrief. And based on that, they will be willing to extend me an offer. And then after that, I will officially apply for that online once they give me an informal yes. So this is the process. And I think even in a lot of companies, this process happens. It's very similar. Even in TikTok, this happens.
Cool. One thing, Umang, that
Mhm.
probably is obvious, but I'll ask just in case is that
Okay.
you did your bachelor's in computer science and master's in computer science. Is that true?
So my bachelor's was in information technology, which is very similar to computer science. Yes. And
Okay.
then my master's was in computer science at UMass Amherst.
Okay, okay, that's pretty cool. So, how easy or hard was it? Was it like a common thing from people from your masters to get an Amazon internship, or were you like an outlier?
I think UMass Amherst is one of the top CS schools in the US. So a lot of people had gotten into Amazon, Microsoft,
Mm.
Google, and Facebook, and a lot of different companies. But it was also the peer pressure that you have to get that, right?
Yeah.
And the thing with me was like I had no experience before that. I directly came after my bachelor's. And the
Yes.
people I was competing with for internship and other things as well were people who had 2 to 3 years of experience. So I knew all that, and I was like very proactive in like reaching out to a lot of like recruiters, applying for a lot of companies and ensuring that I am doing all these things first and getting my step inside the door. Yeah, that I would summarize it this way. Yeah.
Got it. That's pretty cool. Was there anything that, you passed interviews and stuff, but like, was there anything that's like surprising or, you had no experience going in? What was the biggest change? What was the biggest challenge for you?
Yeah, I think so. Some of the interviews that I failed initially were due to because I had not prepared well in the sense of like ML depth, or let's say because I did not have like any focus area. So at that point, I was more of a generalist. Like I knew some knowledge, I had like projects in different domains. So when they asked me like deeper questions, I did not know them, and my interviews were like failing. So then I realized that I need to pick one area and like go deeper into the model details, understand the trade-offs, understand different versions of different models in that domain, and then eventually like strengthen that area and then talk about it more confidently during the interviews. This was one of the struggles that I had. Second was obviously that ML interviews are all over the place. Like you don't know what the interviewer is going to ask you. So it can be a design question end to end, or it can be they will give you some scenario. Okay, what kind of model you would use in this scenario, or what kind of sampling technique you would use in this scenario. So it's like ML fundamentals, ML design, and ML coding also sometimes. So, and there is no resource out there through which you can prepare everything. This is the unfortunate truth about ML. So I had to read a lot of resources, do that catch up. Okay, yes, this is also now getting asked in the interview. Now I need to prepare this. Okay, I failed here. Now I need to prepare this. So from trial and error, I was eventually able to land like few roles. But it just like I got to know by giving the interviews, okay, this is getting asked, this is getting asked. Because online also there is so limited information, at least at that time, like 3 years back, there was very little information
Oh, it's
about
not
ML
long
interview.
ago. 3 years
Yeah.
is not too long ago when compared to when I interviewed for my first interview. So it's relative.
3 years ago was the Chat GPT moment. I think exactly
Yeah.
almost a month.
Yeah, three, not even three, sorry, maybe like 4.5 years ago. Yeah, because it's been like now 5 years. Yeah, 4.5 years ago. But the issue is, yeah, I mean, even that issue still remains today, even though you will see more posts about
Yep.
ML experiences, but still there is no one resource out there through which you can prepare everything. And there's still very limited information about ML experiences and at big tech companies during the interview phase. So these were the struggles that I had faced initially. And that is why, like, the people that I mentor now, I give them a very structured plan and give them very dedicated resources through which they can prepare and become like more confident that they will be getting most of the questions from those resources.
That's really cool. It's awesome that you decided to use that as a lever to help the community and, to
Yeah.
mentor people and things like that.
Yeah, I'm super
Wh-
excited for that because no one was there to help me. Now I want to like mentor people and like help them succeed and help them transition into ML career.
what kind of drove that for you in a way? Like, I know a lot of people who make transitions and things, and then like for them it's difficult. We also know a lot of people who mentor others. I'm always curious, especially the ones who do it at high volume. What's your why?
Yeah, I think my why is twofold. One is to honestly, like, I like to build these relationships and like help people in that way. Like whatever like my journey has been, if I can help someone who is, let's say, like one step below that or two steps below that and wants to be at my step, I would want to help them. That has been always, irrespective of it has been like ML or not. It's been the trade of me, you can say. Like if I get an opportunity, I also want anyone else to also get that opportunity or like help them guide, like, okay, this is how you can get it. So this is number one. Second is obviously like, it's like I don't want to just it to be like a passion. I want to create a company around it, which I'm working towards and make it like my, let's say, next big milestone, not just because I don't foresee myself as a machine learning engineer 10 years down the line. I see myself as an entrepreneur, like running like multiple businesses, which includes like my also passion for study abroad and monetizing that area as well. And then obviously the ML area, which is my core piece. So I see it like two folds, like helping and also building a business around it.
That's
Wow.
awesome.
This is
First,
also yeah, this is also becoming an ML entrepreneur podcast, not
Oh
just
yeah.
ML podcast.
Oh yeah.
So when you talk about like when you talk to your mentors, what are the themes that you hear today? Do you actively coach and mentor right now, or
Yes, I do actively coach and mentor right now. And the main theme that I get from people is, what is the future of MLE jobs? Will MLE jobs exist? Like if AI is going to take over software jobs, I think they will also take over the MLE jobs. So that is the biggest theme that I hear, that will they spend like next 6 months in preparing for MLE, like
I
machine
mean,
learning and learning all that, and then their jobs will not even be there. So that is
yeah,
the biggest thing.
that's the theme of our podcast too.
yeah.
So You kind of got that.
So that is the biggest thing that I get to hear from people. And what I tell them is you will never know like what is going to happen in the future. If you really want to get into ML, this is the time. This is the time you can be a machine learning engineer. This is the structure that you can follow to become a machine learning engineer. Maybe that structure will change 6 years, 1 year down the line, 2 years down the line, or maybe that job might not even exist 3 to 5 years down the line. But what you can do right now is this. And if you really want to do that, this is the time only. There is no other time. So this is like my advice to anyone who wants to like transition into ML and still confused about it at this point.
That is so interesting. I want to dig deeper into that. But before
Sure.
we go there, Umang, in your own job right now, how
Yeah.
have things changed for you?
In terms of, let's say, like using AI,
Yeah, last few years, it's been crazy amount of rapid innovation and just tons of transformation. So how did that affect you? And how did that maybe like affect your positioning with your mentees in terms of the type of advice you give them?
Also, Umang, one thing to add on to Ahai's question, it doesn't have to be purely your job as well. Like your peers, I'm sure you would know
Yeah.
about other areas as well. So,
Mhm.
how do you think overall these productivity tools
Mhm.
into everyone's workflows and ecosystem, how is
Mhm.
that changing today? Like, how is your
Yeah.
world and that's changing today?
Mhm.
And maybe talk about that. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So it is again like twofolds. One is like in the solutions that we are building, we are now using a lot of like LLM based solutions. And second is obviously on the productivity end. So in my team, so I work in the risk space and like TikTok. Basically, right now I work in detecting like bad users on the platform, on the TikTok platform in the US. So if a user is, let's say, having some sort of like group malicious behavior, if there's a bad group activity that is happening on the platform, then we would want to detect them and also want to like suspend them or like basically limit their reach. So initially, like we started off with like very simple like heuristic based approaches. Then like later classic, once we had enough data, moved on to classical ML approaches. And then now we have also used some of the LLM based solutions to identify like these behaviors and like also not just in the sense of like detecting whether it is bad or not, but also in the transparency format, like why was it suspended?
Mhm.
What is the policy that this user is violating? So having that transparency on top of it is also like very easily like, let's say, achievable using LLMs as compared to in the past. So these are like some areas where the focus has been from the model development or like as an MLE standpoint. In terms of my productivity, obviously like in TikTok, in the US team of TikTok, they have given us access to Gemini Pro subscription. So I use that a lot in terms of, let's say, giving just like prompting and like getting some code out, or let's say if I have to write a script, like helping with like some overall idea and like getting a script out of it, just like it saves my time. I think 20 like if I have to read a very long document or if I have to understand, let's say, a code piece, and there's like 10 to 11 like different like files, and I want to like pinpoint some key things that I want to find, I just give all of that to LLM and save my time instead of like reading in line by line every piece of code. So all of these areas like LLM like helps me at this point. And in terms of, so I will add one more point, which is also very important. In terms of the ML prep for the interviews, like I chat with Grok so much. If I have to prepare for an MLE interview for ML system design, I will give them the scenario. Okay, give me the problem, and then I will discuss trade-offs and I will discuss like so many follow-ups with them that my preparation can just be done with Grok. If someone like me wants to prepare, like I can simply prepare from Grok or ChatGPT at this point for ML system design. It's that comprehensive, but people still don't use it. And I encourage my mentees to also use that, not just rely on the main resources that I'm giving them, but also leverage them on the side. If you're curious about a topic and want to dive deep, just ask them. That is your best resource at this point. But still, majority of them are unfortunately not using it to their advantage.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow, Grok, you're the first guest
Yeah, that's exactly.
that's brought that up.
Go
It's
Elon Musk.
oh wow, okay. I see your allegiance. No, it's cool. I've not used it. I
I've
heard
not
good things
used
about it.
Grok as well. Yeah, I've
It
heard
is
good.
pretty good. I've tried like different ones, like for ML system design, like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Grok, and I find Grok as most comprehensive and
Huh.
more to the point.
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Really?
Wow.
Yeah.
Better than Claude?
I haven't tried Claude for ML
Okay,
system design. Yes, yes.
got it. I see.
Okay.
Why do you think your mentees are not using LLMs?
I mean, they are using it, but it's not to like that extent. If I may, like, especially for the ML interview prep, I don't think a lot of people still use it. They still
Hmm,
rely on like the typical resources out there. They will read a
interesting.
book. They will read a book like Alex Hughes or.
Probably they don't know where to start. Among what I've seen with people who don't use LLM for things on a daily basis, they
Uh-huh.
probably try one or two things. They think it's either too generic or it's too specific. And what I've seen is people who struggle with it don't know how to work with it.
Yeah.
Right? So if you understand how to speak with it, like what exactly you need to say to get what you
Mhm.
want, then it comes from multiple, like few tries, right? The
Yeah.
first answer might not be what you need. So that just that persistence and just that skill to some extent, the type of questions you ask,
Mhm.
I think is very important. And also just wanting to do that too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's the curiosity part, which also is like probably I would say like can be better for some folks. Just like learning more, being more passionate about it.
The way that I sort of like observe and I also tell people, and also like how the internet is also
Hmm.
describing it, is like you have two camps of people, right? Like one that's extremely AI native, meaning like their entire life revolves around just having AI as part of everything that they do. So,
Hmm.
like you have that camp generally tends to be like more on the maybe like in school, grew up with LLMs as a big part of their life, that kind of stuff. And then you have everyone else who's more like, using it like a Google, like one shot and that's it. And like, ask a question, previously it's like, oh, I mean, still today, you get blue links and then you select the link and then you're done.
Hmm.
And they do the same thing. Like ChatGPT asks you a question and then like it gives you an answer and then they move on. But like the kind of like the critical piece of it is how do you actually interact with it? Meaning like it doesn't stop at one turn. Like by default, it's a multi-turn system for you to get maximum value.
Exactly, exactly. I totally echo this, and you have to interact with it and get the most value as you can.
So Umang, now I'm really curious because the people that you help on the mentorship side, like
Hmm.
they want to transition into ML, right? Is there any
Hmm.
like really interesting story of someone who you've helped that had a perhaps unconventional journey, but then somehow ended up in the place that they really want to be because of
Yeah.
your help?
So yeah, there are like some folks, let's say someone is just in web development and has no experience of ML. And some folks, let's say, who are like a data analyst and they are still basically confused about if they want to like, let's say, become data scientists or they directly want to become an ML engineer. So they feel like ML engineer is too much of a stretch for them. It can be challenging, yes, but if you do like some basic things, which includes like strengthening your ML fundamentals and you do your basic preparation for ML interviews and you have existing like let's say or you build 1 to 2 ML projects end to end and you showcase them, it is more likely that you can directly become an ML engineer. So I was able to basically help two folks, one in the web dev space and one as a data analyst, land a MLE job directly. Now they were not obviously like experienced. If you are let's say an experienced data analyst or an experienced web developer, then directly switching to becoming an experienced ML engineer is very challenging. Obviously, you cannot do that
Yeah.
transition without, let's say, having a proper, let's say, degree in ML or like showcasing it through other impacts that you've had. You like with ML, it can be very challenging, but at least at like entry level or mid level, it is still possible. So I was able to do that for two folks, but it's not a typical like. It requires a lot of effort, like a lot of push from their end. They are driving that entire transition. It's not based on like, okay, just like spend 2 months on this and you will be able to do that. So it takes at least 6 months to 1 year in this case. Very unconventional like profiles, but they can also become directly ML engineers instead of slowly transitioning their way for first, let's say, becoming a software engineer and then becoming an ML engineer from a web developer. But so these has been like two very different profiles which I was able to work with. And one of like I'm working right now with a product manager as well is like she basically wants to first become a product engineer, product sorry. She first wants to become a product manager in an ML team and then gradually transition into maybe more leadership roles or maybe in the engineering roles later on. But for now, I'm helping her like get that basic AI knowledge and help her transition into an ML team and lead ML products as a product manager. So yeah, some of these like very different profiles, I would say.
All over the place. That's awesome.
Yes.
Do you have any non-technical folks that you mentor?
Non-technical folks, I would say product managers can be non-technical. They are not fully technical. So yeah, have started to mentor them as well recently. And I've been mentoring for last 1 to 2 years, not like beyond before that. So it's been like recent only for whatever like people that I'm mentoring. Yeah.
So PMs probably to understand ML and to become like an AI PMs or things like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of PMs want to be in the AI space right now. So
Yeah, actually, with that, so if everyone is chasing kind of like AI roles, like everybody wants an AI title somewhere,
Mhm.
how do you help them separate sort of like the real skills that they need versus kind of like the things that they might have heard on the internet or in some YouTube videos?
Yes. So what there is a difference. So yeah. So there is a very big difference between real skills and also the skills required for the interview. So I give them this like ground truth. Let's say if someone is like even an ML engineer, oh, sorry, a software engineer and wants to become an ML engineer, the person will come to me and he will be like, "Hey, I want to like learn about scikit-learn library. I want to learn about TensorFlow. I want to learn about PyTorch very deeply and build one to end-to-end projects, learn more about like maths in ML and all those things." So I'm like, if you want to do that, then the timeline for transition will be even longer. Like it would be like one month, 1 year at least. But if you want to like focus on the job prep and if you want to like let's say become an ML engineer, like land those interviews, so there's a different skill for that. You are not getting asked like very deeper PyTorch questions or very deeper like TensorFlow questions, but you need to know the trade-offs between them. You need to know what the high level intuition is for majority of these things and understand where they can be used in the entire workflow, what are the trade-offs, and learn about Spark basic fundamentals instead of like diving deep into all these things. And just prepare for from the interview perspective if you have to prepare for ML interviews, which includes preparing specifically for ML fundamentals. There is a set pattern for that in the case of supervised learning, unsupervised learning, and similarly for ML coding, ML design, and ML system design. So you have to master like these components. And for majority of big tech companies, as of now, the structure is pretty similar for ML interviews.
Hmm,
Sometimes there is like one or the two interviews might change from company to company. Like let's say, for example, Amazon might ask for an ML depth round where they will go deeper into one of your projects and dive deep into that niche area. Whereas companies like Spotify will prefer like more data side of engineering as well from you. They will expect like building data models and they will be asking you a lot of questions around like data end to end as a data engineer, as an MLE position also. So some one or two interviews might change, but the overall structure stays very similar. So instead of diving deep into learning about all the ML skills and technologies very deeply,
yeah,
there's a separate skill for ML interview preparation. So I give them that reality check and then ask like, what do they want to do? Do they want to do this or do they want to do this? And then they choose sometimes just the ML interview prep or sometimes both. So then I work with them like on either of those two things.
I see. Do you see a preference for one over the other? Like, do people have the concern that if I only do prep or interview prep, then I'm not sure if I can take that job when I actually
Mhm.
land a job? Like, sort
Mhm.
of the imposter syndrome
Yes.
kind of doubt. Like, is that common?
Totally. So that is definitely common, and it's also from the behavior interview standpoint, right? Then you have to project that you have had that experience or you've worked end to end already. So that can be very difficult for many of the people. So that is why I recommend this end to end, like prepare, getting actually like real knowledge, working end to end, and then
Hmm.
also on top of that doing the interview prep. And it also depends on like how much time they can give every single month, because if they're already doing their job, they might not be able to invest so much time in like preparing for skill building for ML and then also interview prep. So it's again like dependent on them a lot, I would say. But if it was up to me, like the way that I also did it in my journey, I initially like built some projects, got some opportunities, and through that, I was able to like actually become an ML engineer. And that is how I also encourage others as well.
Okay, got it. No, that's cool. That's cool. And then how have you seen AI shifting that whole dynamic here in terms of are you seeing your mentees able to leverage AI tools during interviews, or like, is there something like kind of tangible from an operational perspective in their journey? Like anything you can share that you've observed?
In terms of AI tools, like what do you mean? Like
So like for example,
during
like
the interview?
technical rounds. Yeah,
Yeah,
technical round interview. Like are people allowed AI tools, for example,
yeah.
or like things like that?
So right now, like some companies are pushing towards that. Like let's say, for example, Meta recently said that they will be having a different kind of round where they will allow accessing LLMs during the interview. But I think that still hasn't rolled out. So I'm not sure if it is currently happening because still the structure for Meta's MLE interviews are very straightforward and they do not allow any access to internet. For example, like a company like Reddit, they allow you to access Google like search, not like actually
Mm,
AI, but they allow you to like search all those things and they will give you, let's say, a data set initially, and they will want you to do data processing on that, find some imbalance, do some normalization, then build a model and then evaluate and then improve that model all in that one interview. You will be sharing your screen, you will be having a live coding session with the interviewer. But I would say that honestly rarely happens in all the big tech companies, even at this point. It is still like very much traditional, the
mm.
same way as a lot of like even software engineering interviews in terms of system design and lead code are still going. Even though there's been a lot of talk that there's a lot of like cheating platforms as well right now available. So but it takes time for all these like especially big tech companies to change their entire like interview process.
Yeah.
So there hasn't been a significant change unfortunately, but if you're applying for a like startup company or a smaller company, then obviously they will like have all those like live sessions with you and they will ask you to, hey, you can use LLM within that 1 to 2 hours of interview, and they will ask you to like build everything, share your screen and do everything on the fly. But in big tech and like most of the other like ML companies, even like Pinterest, Snap, and other like smaller companies, Airbnb, they will still like very structured, unfortunately.
Got it. As you were talking, Google search has its own AI mode as well. So like
Yeah.
it's the same thing as invoking LLMs these days. So what is your perhaps like what is your biggest advice or most prominent advice that you give to every person who's trying to break into the ML space?
I think right now the biggest advice is to stay patient. So I see a lot of people like lose hope after like let's say giving few interviews and not getting selected. The unfortunate truth of 2025 and even 2026 will be that market is tough. There's a lot more people who want to get into ML. There's a lot more demand. And unfortunately, so the companies basically have this power over you that unless you clear all those rounds successfully, they are not going to hire you. If you perform bad even in one interview, right now the chances are more likely than not you will not be succeeding in that. And you don't have to lose hope on that front because in the end it's about the numbers game. You have to, let's say,
Mm.
target applying to 100 plus companies, try to get 10 plus tech screens, try to get 4 plus final loops, and then get at least one offer. So if you're targeting just one final loop, then that's not going to work for you. At least target 4 to 5 final loops, and then you will get one offer out of them. So I would just advise everyone to be patient with their entire process and their transition.
Nice. So be patient, and also it's I guess it's a funnel, numbers game funnel. Like you just have
Exactly.
to. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Expect it. The way that I kind of describe to people is if we're and I don't think this is controversial. Maybe it's controversial, but like it's just like dating, right? Like your expected
Mhm.
value is one. Like you just need one person, and then you
Exactly.
then work it out all the steps in between, and then you know how many quote unquote first dates you need to go on.
Exactly. In the end, it's just one that matters. That's it. Yeah.
Nice. That's very cool. Okay. Awesome. Let's see. Is there any final advice you would give to perhaps like people who are aspired or thinking about becoming a machine learning engineer?
So I think yeah, the final advice that I want to give is just don't be overwhelmed with the prep. Break it down. If you want to like discuss with me, you can reach out to me on LinkedIn, or if not, also you can simply think of the ML prep as like breaking down into ML fundamentals, ML design, ML system design, ML coding. These are the four main areas that you have to break down your prep into. And all the interviews kind of like fit all these puzzles only. Now that includes latest LLM, that also includes your project experiences, but it will fit these four main categories only. So don't get overwhelmed. Take it component by component. Prepare through 1 to 2 resources for each component, and then you should be good to go. Will you crack all the interviews? Obviously not. Will you crack some of them? Probably yes, if you follow this process. So just don't get overwhelmed.
I feel like you just gave out a 4-step plan to getting into ML. So I guess we have our trailer here.
Oh yeah, awesome.
Nice, very cool. Umang, where can people find out more about you?
Yeah, you can simply reach out to me on LinkedIn. It's ML with Umang /ML with Umang on LinkedIn. Right now, my company's page is not like company's website is not published as of now. So yeah, you can just reach out, DM me on LinkedIn, and we'll take it from there.
Awesome, cool. Well, thank you so much for coming on. I think our audience would learn a lot from this conversation. I think our last person who came in and share kind of like how they got into ML was probably almost like a year ago now. And obviously things have changed a bunch in the last year. So good to hear a different or I guess an updated perspective on that.
Awesome.
Cool.
Yeah, it was great interviewing. Not interviewing, sorry. It was great like meeting you both. Hi and Shravya. And I honestly like really enjoyed your intro. Your intro, when you started off, you had such a like high energy and like pretty cool intro. That was pretty cool. Hi. Yeah.
Nice, awesome. We'll make a cool trailer here as well. Awesome. So to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this content, and drop any comments for anything that you would like to ask Umang, and we'll see you next time.
Awesome.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.